Imagine you're standing in your kitchen, right? You spot a single cockroach on the floorboards. You might, step on it or grab some insect spray. What you don't do is to park a main battle tank outside your front door and blow a hole in your own house to get the cockroach.
Right. I mean, blowing a big hole in your own home to deal with a cockroach is it's the definition of disproportionate overreaction.
Absolutely. It reminds me of the Turkish proverb about the English and the absurdity of wild overreaction. An Englishman will burn his bed to catch a flea.
Yes. Because that's the tragedy of overreaction, isn't it? A minor irritation becomes a national bonfire. One small personal discomfort, and suddenly the whole house is ablaze, not to kill the flea, but to soothe the panic it inspired.
Exactly. And today we're doing a deep dive into a fascinating, albeit highly critical opinion piece that outlines exactly that kind of overreaction, but on a state level.
Yeah, we're looking at this Indian student parody movement called the Cockroach Janta Party or CJP.
The Modi administration, according to our source, treated this satirical account as a direct threat to Indian sovereignty.
The Cockroach Janta Party website was dismantled. State TV broadcasters like Doordarshan started labeling these activist students as Pakistanis.
And why the government of India allegedly view the CJP as a literal national security threat is beyond ridicule, as it plays right into the hands of the students.
Seriously? It's baffling how tongue in cheek posts by students are treated as threats by the government, while India's broken justice system, which is failing hundreds of thousands of bank retirees, isn't seen as a constitutional crisis or a human rights emergency.
Now, a crucial disclaimer here before we look at the receipts. Our source contains politically charged, highly critical views of the Indian government. We are not taking sides or endorsing these views. We're strictly imparting the source's arguments so you can understand the dynamics outlined in the source material.
Definitely, because, well, to understand the government's reaction, you really have to look at the pressure cooker these students are living in. The source points out that this whole movement started when India's Chief Justice actually compared unemployed young activists to cockroaches and parasites.
Okay, let's unpack this because it's like a disconnected adult trying to insult a teenager, right?
But step back for a second. You'd imagine the government of India has bigger fires to fight than student posts on social media. Especially when the Supreme Court's own registry has just been called out by Chief Justice Surya Kant for undermining judges, and when court pendency is choking justice itself, as bank retirees know far too well.
The injustice inflicted on bank retirees, some waiting since 1992, is a shameful denial of dignity. And it makes it even harder to take seriously a government rattled by social media posts while ignoring a collapsing judicial system that has failed hundreds of thousands of retirees who have spent their final years waiting for justice that never came.
It's almost dystopian. India, the world's largest democracy, is thin skinned. Priya, can you please help me to make it make sense?
Right, where are the adults in the room in the Modi government?
I'm going to pass on your rhetorical question because while I can't speak for the BJP government, it's obvious to me that all the grown ups in this case appear to be in the Cockroach Janta Party. Just look at how the teenagers ironically owned the cockroach insult and made it into their highly successful personal brand.
That was the thing that rattled the government. Instead of getting offended, the students just owned it. They launched the CJP on Instagram and X, and they gained millions of followers almost overnight.
The clash between the Modi government and students of the Cockroach Janta Party flipped the script on the movie The Man in the High Castle. That story was set in a dystopian 1962 where the Axis powers won World War II, practically turning history on its head.
Oh, wow.
The students root their unhappiness in deep, painful youth disillusionment. It's not just a joke to them. These students are facing an incredibly bleak landscape, like massive youth unemployment, right?
Yes. The students feel they're living in a 2026 dystopia. Unemployment plus severe climate impacts. Like there was a heat wave that killed 67 people in a single day in Telangana. Add in devastating institutional failures like the national undergraduate medical exams being completely compromised by paper leaks. It just destroys futures.
Perhaps in a complete reversal of the man in the castle story, the Cockroach Janta Party sees itself as an alternative to a dystopia where the judicial system itself has become the punishment, just as India's public sector bank retirees.
The Modi administration, according to the author, treated this satirical account as a direct threat to Indian sovereignty. The CJP website was dismantled. State TV broadcasters like Doordarshan started labeling these complaining students as Pakistanis.
Yeah, and the founder, Abhijit Dipki, is facing a Supreme Court petition and accusations of foreign influence. It's intense but ridiculous. The MC Singla updation was first taken up by the Supreme Court of India in 2016. 10 years later, the case remains on life support, plagued by death by 1,000 adjournments.
Yet, the Cockroach Janta Party, a parody account which draws attention to high youth unemployment, education system scandals, corruption, and political alienation, is fast tracked to the Supreme Court in a matter of weeks.
Yet we have bank retirees who retired in 92 still fighting for a fair hearing in court under the constant threat of orchestrated government adjournment and other delaying tactics. I mean, why does the state perceive simple satire as an existential threat?
Like, you can debate a policy, but you can't debate a joke that makes you, the government, look foolish. When a state fails at basic governance, like keeping exam papers secure or ensuring nobody is above or below the protection of the law, humor pierces the armor of state overreach in a way traditional opposition just cannot.
The joke becomes an existential threat to their aura of competence when the reality of their incompetence is laid bare for all to see in stinging parody.
And that defensiveness, it seems, travel well beyond domestic borders. During a recent European tour, Prime Minister Modi was asked about press freedom by a Norwegian journalist, Helle Ling Svensson.
Oh, right. What was Modi's response?
According to the piece, Modi avoided eye contact with Svensson and walked away. He totally blanked her.
But the fallout from that simple encounter was staggering. The Indian embassy in Oslo allegedly held what the source calls a spiteful press conference. They bypassed the actual issue entirely to deliver this 13-minute word salad about yoga and Gandhi.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting to me. Is it possible the administration truly perceive these events, both the CJP and the foreign press questions, as coordinated geopolitical attacks rather than as independent criticism of alleged incompetence by the government on several levels?
I mean, it's a valid angle to consider, but the source views this as pure paranoia from an administration whose, quote, giant balloon of self-esteem is leaking, unquote.
A leaking balloon, wow.
Right. The government is terrified because there is recent tangible precedent. The source explicitly warns that regimes across South Asia, specifically in Nepal, have recently fallen to innocuous Gen Z protests. The fear of that domino effect is very real to them.
So, what does this mean for you listening, even if you're not a bank retiree who's been waiting over 20 years for justice, or a youth disillusioned with long standing corruption and lack of opportunity and life choices?
Yeah, it reveals just how brittle massive political machines can be when their true nature is highlighted through parody.
It proves that sometimes the most effective weapon against state incompetence isn't a traditional political opposition, it's a generation refusing to take the state's self importance seriously.
Indeed. And thank you. If you like our podcast, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Until the next time, namaste.